Baba Shenge, Prince Mangosuthu Buthelezi. Baba, thank you very much for joining me on this platform. Let me just introduce myself. My name is Chris Thwala. I am the founder and director of a small NPO called Minds of Good Health. And what we're trying to do, Baba, is to raise awareness of mental health and provide venues to those who are battling with the mental health. And I thought, because of this gender-based violence that is ravishing the country, our beloved country, I thought, well, it's fitting that we talk about this this issue, this matter, and especially it would be great to have umtomdala njengawe, umtomdala obenesikhundla kule country, and who had a big influence in changing this country's face. We struggle to where we are now, and you are a reputable man. You've got a great family, and you are a great husband to your beloved wife. So I thought, well, it would be great to have someone like you, and we can just talk about this gender-based violence, Bob.
Quite. Yes, I think that it's a very good thing to do, especially in the midst of so much gender-based violence, the killing of wives, the killing of sweethearts, the killing of children, Mr. Thwala. And with the rate of harm that being done to our women on a day, almost on a daily basis in children, I think we cannot help but think there's something specific to South African men that is causing this. In fact, one is ashamed that one is a South African man. But in fact, the truth of the matter, of course, is that this pandemic is not confined to our country. There are a number of factors, of course, that make our country dangerous for women and children. While gender equality is enshrined, of course, in our wonderful constitution, there's still a very wrong mindset that men should have dominance in society, in relationships, and in the workplace. This mindset exists with an environment of high unemployment, of course, in our country, the poverty and the deep social injustice in our country. Now, millions of men feel disempowered, placing them under very severe stresses. They cannot provide and they cannot be protected. There is constant frustration, there is constant disappointment, and there's constant anger. So tragically, our men have very few positive role models within the family and the community. The weakened family structure in our country leaves many boys growing up without guidance,
yes,
and without learning strong values which would help them. Another thing, Mr. Thwala, that I think we sometimes ignore is that as far as birth of human beings, especially in the African society, I think there are more illegitimate births than legitimate births. So a lot of our children that brought up by other grandmothers or their mothers, who don't have a father as a more role model. So that role is replaced with public voices that are often irresponsible, a lot of them in our country.
Yes.
Men are being encouraged to express their anger through violent protests, for instance. They have been taught that it is justified to use violence to get your way. I think that one of the things that I would regard as an aftermath of our liberation struggle is the fact that, if you can see it even now in our country, that even people who demonstrate peacefully, or many demonstrations go out as peaceful demonstrations for any protest, legitimate protests. But then people, then after they start looting, they start, using violence and so on. And also in 1976, I remember very well that after the police shot our children, in particular in Soweto, and when the children replied with stones, Then there was also a call from our movement. I was a member of the ANC,
Yes.
which is the African National Congress,
Yes.
especially from the ANC abroad, to say that let's make the country ungovernable. Let's make the townships ungovernable. And we know we're reaping the whirlwind of that.
Yes.
Because I warned even at that time that if we make the country ungovernable, if we make the township ungovernable, they'll be ungovernable even after
Yes.
we achieve freedom. There's really no reason, for example, Mr. Thwala, that even students or young people protesting should burn down libraries. I mean, university students, they should, when we're in such poverty, that they should actually let out their anger by destroying their own assets that are provided for them.
Mm-hmm.
So all that anger and frustration is being poured out on those least able to protect themselves. And we are really losing sight of people that you can call protectors or role models.
Yes.
So I think that we've dealt with that question.
Yes. So, Baba, how then do we change this paradigm? How do we make this? How do we make a paradigm shift? Okay, I'm gonna wait for you to have that earpiece. Yeah.
Ooh. I'd like to apologize.
No,
Mr.
Baba.
Thwala.
No, it's fine, Baba. Thank you.
No,
No,
what happened? I tried to remove, my mask. It got entangled. I put my own yes.
Baba, that was very perceptive what you just shared now, because you were not just sharing what is happening now. You gave me the background, the history, how this actually was fermenting until what we have now. So, Baba, just moving on. So, how then do we change this paradigm? Because we need a paradigm shift. So, how do you groom uChris Thwala ukuthi abe indoda eqotho? How do you groom such young people, young men, to be good husbands to their wives and good fathers to their children?
I think that the one thing that we should understand is important is that people must understand what one can describe as acceptable behavior and what is not.
Yeah.
And that what makes it harder for an abuser to convince us that we have no rights or that we somehow deserve to be mistreated, to be at the end of such mistreatment. Let me put it simply, Mr. Thwala.
Yeah, Baba.
It's never really okay for a husband to abuse his wife or for a boyfriend to do violence to you, to your children. It's never justified, no matter what. But what is happening today, when people are angry with their partners and they have children, then they decide not to kill only their partners, but even the children. Actually, that is actually something I cannot understand. Abuse can take, of course, many forms, as you are aware, though it might not be physical violence.
Yes.
It could be subtle, in fact, as emotional manipulation, and that isolates you from your support system or makes you question your own judgment.
Wow.
It could be someone controlling your finances or controlling your everyday decisions. So whatever the relationship, I would say, whether the other person is a partner, a family member, a friend, or a colleague, if you are often left feeling scared, or hurt, or humiliated, or depressed, you need to question that relationship.
Baba, thank you so much. Thank you so much. You know, I don't know if maybe I don't go out a lot, but angaze ngizwe umuntu omdala ongumuntu omnyama okhuluma ngedepression, okhuluma ngokuthi omunye umuntu abe scared. That is very pivotal and that is very vital. So thank you very much for touching on those points, Baba. And just one more question, Baba. Sesiyaqeda manje. As you know, we've experienced this monstrous pandemic, coronavirus, and that meant ukuthi abantu abaningi would have lost their jobs, their income, and so forth. And some have turned now into substance abuse to numb the pain. Because kunzima. Abantu abaningi bazokumele ukuthi basuke from emaJoburg baye emakhaya, basuke bemakapa baye Eastern Cape. And then mawufika kunama expectations ukuthi hayibo kanti bowenzani eGoli, bowenzani eKapa, awufikanga nalutho. And that causes depression, and that causes somehow ukuthi your mental state is unbalanced. So Baba, can you just give us some encouragement pointers or words on how we can keep maintaining mental health during these difficult times?
Well, I think, Mr. Thwala, that as much as we need to identify abuse in our own relationships that we're speaking about, we need to protect the women and girls around us. We must become more aware of the signs of abuse in our society and do something about it. If you notice a friend, for instance, becoming withdrawn or secretive, losing interest in the things she usually enjoyed doing, losing confidence, becoming anxious or fearful, starting to abuse substances, as you mentioned, or constantly canceling appointments, talk to him or to her. Ask her in confidence whether someone is hurting her. And once she gives you audience, listen carefully. Be kind, be supportive, and don't use anything she tells you against her. She needs to be able to trust you in the first place. If her life is in danger, help her to remove herself from. These are things I think which as individuals we can do, I think, within our own families and communities. But of course, there are things that need to be done at national level as well.
Yes.
But before I do that,
Yes,
Mr. Thwala,
yeah, Baba.
this particular week for me has been wonderful because I'll refer you to Styles, which is an insert, what you call publication in the Sunday Times last week.
Yes.
Last week's, not yesterday, day before yesterday, where my grandson, Zagiti, a very beautiful young man, I'm very proud, you know. My son gave me a very good education. He was educated, you know, at one of the best schools in South Africa, Michael House. Articulate, very proud. But there he wrote a letter, which I'll ask you to look at, Mr. after this interview, in the Styles magazine, where she tells us about stories, his story, how she has gone through the painful route of alcoholism, how she abused alcohol, and how she's appealing to others, you know, to may take the same route as she did. And I'm being very personal now. I'm talking about something that happened to me last week.
Yeah.
And which has excited both my son and daughter-in-law and also all of us. Yeah. And which I'm very proud of my grandson that he comes out and said so, because this is a case, you know, of what you're talking to me about. Yeah. But of course, I must also say I'm a member of parliament even now. Maybe I've become the oldest. I hope to leave parliament soon. But I think these are things that you can do as an individual, which I stated. But I know that the interventions of government itself don't go far enough. We don't have enough safe houses for people that are vulnerable, especially women that are abused. Although we have tons of trained social workers, many of them are unemployed.
Yeah.
NGOs that support vulnerable women and children are underfunded. in our country.
Yep.
And there are serious things that in our justice system that allow perpetrators to get away with it. We see every day people have done terrible things, being given paroles. There's something wrong about our justice system. So we need to fix things, I think, at the top as well, and changing behavior inside homes, of course, as well, in schools and in our workplaces.
Yeah. Baba, you know, you've touched on individual basis and the national level. I was saying to someone this week, Google team, I think it was last week, Google team, this gender-based violence, we often point fingers to the other guy, those guys are abusive, those guys are abusive. But mina, I would like ukuthi njengohulumeni wethu to initiate ama programs to train abafana abasakhula namadoda asakhula, because some of us, many of us, we grew up, as you've touched earlier on, we grew up without abobaba basebenze emayini. Me, for example, ngakhuliswa ugogo eNewcastle egadela inkukhu zakhe. So there was no one, umuntu omdala oyindoda ozongibonisa indlela ukuthi hayibo kwenziwa kanje ikhaya ugada kanje. So Baba, really appreciate those pointers ukuthi we really need to take steps, and for example my NPO, we are really underfunded, but we're doing excellent work, and so we have to go to individuals to support our work. So thank you very much for articulating that very well.
Thank you. I think that the state of things in our country, because today we have 17 million families that depend on grants, and even present and past emphasize that that's not sustainable.
No.
And with what COVID-19 has done, and with our economy being further down than junk status, that is not sustainable. I mean, many families today depend on those grants, as you mentioned, your grandma too. People on those grandmas, those grandma grants that are used even to educate children and so on. We have a skewed family set up because of the state of the economy in our country, and because of the existing system where unemployment is worse. Millions of people are not employed, and when at this time this problem will be exacerbated, no doubt, by what COVID-19 has done to us.
Yes. And
now that we've borrowed money, from all sorts of institutions, including IMF, debts which even you, young as you are, not to talk about me whose days are numbered, but young person like you, even during your lifetime, will not even be able to service, the debts that we've, of loans that we have borrowed. We're living in a very unreal situation, really, where at the end of it, I would say, as a Christian, I remember a song that we used to sing at school, at the Sunday school. We say, count your blessings, name them one by one. Count your blessings, see what God had done. Count your blessings, name them one by one, and it will surprise you what the Lord had done. I believe in self-help and self-reliance. I think even on a very small scale, a hand up, instead of us all looking up to government to do everything. This country is devastated. We're in the state. And some of it is self-inflicted.
Yeah.
Because if you travel here in your province, KwaZulu-Natal, which is mainly rural, apart from the few metropolitan areas, if you travel in the Eastern Cape, if you travel in Mpumalanga, all the areas that produce food are today fallow. As soon as we got our freedom, I don't know who deceived us to say now we must stop and destroy this subsistence economy that we had.
Yeah.
I remember, you know, in 1984, when there was pneumonia, I don't know how small you were then. In 1984, we were joking about it because everything was washed away. But if pumpkins away, and we said that there were some blessings about it because those who were further down the river picked up the pumpkins and ate them. But today we don't even have that.
Yeah.
Unless, you know, because economic growth is not going to happen in this country.
Yeah.
Let's just make it very, very clear.
Yeah.
That unemployment is going to be thus for many, many years. Many, many years. Unless we actually revert to what I've always been the twin pillars of my belief, self-help and self-reliance.
Yes.
And go back to subsistence economy and deal, because the major thing in all this is food security.
Yeah. Yeah.
People are hungry.
Very important.
I mean, these parcels, I mean, food parcels, I mean, they're not going to be long at all. No, I'm not boasting, but you know, when my wife died last year, my daughter-in-law did something I didn't expect. You know, she's a citizen. She's a former citizen of Lesotho. She's Sotho speaking, and she grew up in an urban, she relocated immediately, leaving my son in Johannesburg, and came and lived with me here at Kwapindangen, because she wanted to make sure that those young people who look after me, my grandchildren, and those who cook for me, do this properly.
Yes, yes.
And this young woman has done a marvelous thing. It's amazing. Within a short time, she changed the whole, she revived my mother's fields. She planted cabbages, more than 1,000 cabbages, you know, all kinds of things, to the extent that when we had in some of the shops in Ulundi, she actually sold some of them. No, I'm not boasting, but I'm just citing an example of something that I regard as a blessing, because I couldn't expect this young person, a young Mangosuthu girl who married my son, who has lived in Johannesburg, coming here to do that.
Yes.
Yes. In fact, today she's attending a meeting with other young people to inspire them.
Yeah. Baba,
we'll have a lousy Christmas.
Yeah.
A lousy Christmas. Because of all these things, I'm very lonely myself. My wife having died in March last year. I had a lonely Christmas last year. I'll have a very lonelier Christmas without her. But that's how it is. I'm not alone. There are many people who are in the same plight as myself.
Yeah. Baba, angibonge, and let me count this as one of my blessings to have you on this platform. I'm really, really super blessed. And I was telling Miss Thwala in the morning that that, you know, my grandparents, my dad, back in the day, early 90s, you were their hero, and for me to have this opportunity to interview you, it's a wonderful blessing. So thank you very much. So on their behalf, although I'm really honored to have you on this platform, and I think many South Africans, Baba, they will be very much encouraged. So thank you very much. I appreciate that, Baba.
Ngiyabonga Nyembe, uphile Nyembe. Na abaphansi ukhuluma ngabo babheke kahle mntanami.
Yeah. Ngiyabonga, Baba. Okay, bye.
Goodbye.
Bye.